Hey Capricorn, energy's a little bit weird tonight, but we are starting off with the Universe card as your significator, or that would also be called the World card. This is the Hermetic Tarot. And I wanted to do an archetypal reading because I wasn't seeing anything in your sign and the celestial forecast. And I wanted to dig into, there's that classic devil aspect to Capricorn, the goat. But I also got the Lover's card out here because the artwork in many cases is they're very parallel between the two cards. Between the two people, and they look very similar in the way that everything's arranged. But in this depiction here, one of the lovers is also chained, and it looks like the feminine. So some interesting vibes here. And I actually had a different deck set out originally for this. I had the Banned Book Tarot and the Audacity deck set up, but when I was meditating, I got some really, really funky imagery in my mind's eye. And so I switched to this very heavy symbolic deck. So we'll start with the Universe card here and get the... Hey, kitten. Just get the main theme of what is it we're dealing with, because the Universe card... Oh, here we go. This is about cycles and completing cycles, and the card is an Earth card ruled by Saturn. So that's where the association to Capricorn comes in. And it's got all those other elements, total of 4, in the card as well. And so we have the Two of Swords, the Lord of Peace restored, in reverse as our first card. That looks like the Libra sign, and another Saturn card. So in the upright, that can be interpreted as a standstill, an impasse, maybe even analysis paralysis. But in reverse, a choice has been made, and maybe it's a choice to end this cycle, whatever it is. Meow. She just got her chicken, her treat. Let's get a second card here. Oh, there you go. Queen of Swords. Queen of the Thrones of Air. And actually, I think this card came out the last time I used this deck, too. So I was talking about the association to Medusa and how graphic the depiction here and in the Thoth Tarot is, and another Libra card from the looks of it. So a lot of themes of justice. And very fitting theme for Medusa. Because depending on how you interpret, or which interpretation you go with, as for why she was turned into a Gorgon, the most common interpretation was victim blaming. That Athena took out her rage on Medusa after she was violated by Poseidon. But another interpretation is that Medusa's gaze is like the antidote to the male gaze, that she'll never be violated again because she can turn people to stone, with a look. And I'm trying to think of the word. It's like a backhanded compliment. How it's not, on the surface, it might not seem like justice, but it's a pathway out from a rock in a hard place. Like, you don't always have a good path out of that. And so in that combination with the Two of Swords, maybe you are taking the difficult road out, because even though you might end up demonized like Medusa, you'll get out without any additional harm to you. Interesting. Let's get another card. What are you pawing at me for? You just want more chicken? She really wants some attention tonight. Maybe she can feel that weird vibe. So I don't often get called to switch decks mid-meditation. But it was one of those overwhelming, like, intuitive, like, yes, switch the deck. Let's get a third card. What is this situation about? The cycle that we're closing. Three of Wands. Lord of established strength. Sun in Aries. So upright, the Three of Wands, in the Rider Waite, it's somebody looking out over like a cliffside, and they've got one hand on one of the wands. And I believe they're waiting for a ship to come in to take them away. But this hand has all three wands. And I'm just feeling a need to surrender. Surrender to the path. Oh, and Aries, that's the first house, the house of identity. So further going into that analogy with Medusa, that she really divorced herself from her previous identity, really not through choice, but out of necessity. In her best interest. And it's just an all-around bad situation, because she was put in that position by someone else's choice. And I know this is something that I struggle with when it comes to PTSD, of, you know, I didn't choose the events that led to me having PTSD. I don't choose to continue to have PTSD or those seizures that are associated to it. And there seems to be some sort of expectation of me that I can mask these involuntary things. And it's like a whole nother trauma, having to live in cognitive dissonance because other people get kind of uncomfy, you know, with these ideas. Like, man, imagine actually having it. That's pretty uncomfy. Let's get one of these, the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, a little more detail. What's the nature of just this situation that we need to surrender to, or surrender to how it's changed? Just unforeseeable changes. Exaltation. The moon in Taurus. So that makes me think of when Medusa became a symbol on Athena's shield. And that was the final stage in this really transformative journey, because from when she was originally transformed from a priestess into a Gorgon, then Perseus relieved her of her head and then utilized her gift of petrification to what did he do? He did a few different things, ultimately like overthrowing the king that sent him on this journey that harmed his mother and so on and so forth. So did use her curse or gift, however you want to look at that, to overthrow an evil. And but then when she was transferred to Athena's shield, Athena did not gain the gift of petrification. Because my interpretation, I tend to lean on the, like, Medusa was victim blamed. And so when she became a symbol on Athena's shield, Athena wasn't granted that gift. Because why should she be? She's who was supposed to stand up for Medusa, take care of her, because Medusa was her priestess. Like, she honored her. Her being violated in her temple was Poseidon's fault, not Medusa's. And so that, to me, was just like a final, like, nope, you don't get this extra thing that came along. What am I trying to get at? Like, copying. Like, you can't take someone's authenticity. Like, petrification was part of Medusa's authenticity, and Athena can't replicate that. So, to ground this out of mythology and into the real world, maybe you're leaving a situation that demonized you, that victimized you, that maybe they took credit for your work in some way, and you've decided to end that cycle, however that plays out in your world. So let's get into the Devil card. Oh, and I'll move this. This is my little art project this weekend to kick back and chill. Little color therapy. It's a mandala rock. It's like acrylic paint, and it's a little kit that came with paints and a tool and whatnot, and I just had some stuff on my mind that I had to work through, and it was nice to have something to focus on, to allow myself dedicated time to ruminate, and then I gotta do something else. Let's get into the Devil card here. What's the first one for the Devil card? Because this could be, and the main themes are like addiction, cautionary tales around materialism, getting swept up in sensual pursuits, things like that. And in this depiction, they're like little demons, kind of like the little henchmen from Hercules, the animated movie from the 90s. And that's the Lord of the Gates of Matter. And it looks like on the depiction here, it looks like Baphomet. And Baphomet really represents like the unification of two sides of a thing. Could look at that as masculine and feminine. And the Empress, okay, flipped over right on feminine. And in reverse. So in combination with the Devil, this could be distorted Empress energy. Think like Cersei Lannister. Very ruthless. Unkind. Uncaring. And it says, daughter of the mighty ones. And another scale. So there's a lot of Libra and justice themes, but this card being in reverse with the Empress, it's like an abuse of power. And I think this reading is going to be very focused on the Medusa myth. That's just the way things are coming out. But that's one of those interpretations of what Athena did. Rather than standing up to Poseidon, she turned around and demonized Medusa, when she was supposed to be Medusa's protector. And in the Olympian timeline, Athena is younger than Poseidon, but she's this mighty warrior. I mean, even if battle or victory isn't guaranteed from that battle, she still has a responsibility to step up and fight, but her rage got misguided. How about another one? Oh, that came right out. Knight of Swords, the Lord of Winds and Breezes. So this is the reckless hero. So Jaime Lannister. This is interesting. There's a lot of like metaphors layered into this. Because in the first, I think it's the first episode of Game of Thrones is when Bran gets pushed out of the tower. And that's very reckless of Jaime to do, because he wasn't thinking, he just did, the things you do for love, push him out of the tower. And Bran ends up going through kind of a similar like transformation journey, not exactly the same, but had this woe not befallen him, he wouldn't have become the three-eyed raven. And so maybe there's someone in what you're dealing with that, yes, is doing something harmful to you, and it's an important part of the plot. And I really am not trying to downplay or bypass anything you might be dealing with. Of course, like, address the feelings, deal with the thing, address the problem and all that. And take the time you need to feel the feels before ascribing meaning or searching for meaning in something. So that's something I've experienced in the past. I go right to the, like, I logically understand this sucks, and this is a painful situation. Okay, I'm done. Let's find the meaning in the suffering. No. Um, you gotta feel it to heal it, as they say. So maybe there's someone in your situation who's being kind of brash, who, through their hasty action, moves your transformation forward, even if it might not necessarily feel that way at the time. And this could also be a past situation. It doesn't necessarily have to be like right now. And we've got the Eight of Swords, Lord of Shortened Force. This is my gaslighting card. Because in other depictions, we're not typically showing this labyrinth here. And look, there's a sign for Jupiter and Gemini. But it's a person who's loosely bound to one of these swords and generally blindfolded. Typically depicted in such a manner that they could wriggle their way out of it fairly easily. But the interpretation that it's come to gather over time for me is that it's manipulation. It's somebody convincing you that you're bound, not necessarily you. And of course it could be you. We always want to examine those internal things of, what am I thinking of? Internal locus of control. I think that's right. But given this combination, this Jaime and Cersei Lannister combination, this feels like someone's attempting to or has pulled the wool over your eyes. They could be outright blaming you for something when it's their fault. They're trying to maybe deflect from what they're doing by wagging their finger at you. Because that name, Lord of Shortened Force, it just, it's giving me the impression of someone who's overestimating or overplaying their hand of power. Let's see. What, kitten? Let's get one of these here. Oh, that almost flipped. Not quite. So maybe this is a present situation, like you're almost seeing something, but it's just not quite coming to the surface. And of course, this could be reflective. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm just taking the one that flipped over, because that's too many. That distracted me, though, from whatever it was that I was saying. I think that this could be a past situation that maybe in reflection, you're starting to see it clearly, because this is vision, the vision card, Sun in Pisces. And Pisces, the 12th house, that's the house of illusion and delusion. You know, Delulu is a Solulu. And, you know, we jest, we joke. That's not always a good thing, though. Someone could be Ooh. Someone could have power, legitimate power, like in our Lannister analogy here, and be delusional. Like they could be deluded about what's appropriate, or if they're abusing their power, then my mind went blank. Where'd that thread go? That's what happens to me when I'm trying to talk about an upsetting or disturbing memory or something, and then just like the fog will come in. So someone having power or rationalizing their actions. It makes me think of a TED Talk. It's like an FBI guy. He was investigating white collar crimes. It's like mortgage fraud, something like that. And one of the people that he ended up arresting or something like that, she, I think, was trying to pay for like treatment for a sick child. But it was just like one signature to embezzle or some finance word that it destroyed her whole life, rather than being able to protect or rescue this individual. She basically signed away her whole life, and there was like other people involved in it who really were the brains of the operation, as they say. But she was like the accountant or something, so she was the one with the power. And there was like social engineering involved. They pressured her into like signing these things fast, but she also had that personal motivation in it to try and save her family member. And this has given me something real complicated like that, where that accountant lady was painted as like, oh, it's all her, and yada yada yada, and it ended up all falling on her because that's the proof they had, not necessarily because that's what was true. And so maybe looking at your 12th house placements to see, is there any sort of wounding archetypal pattern in that gives someone power over you? Do you have a heavy placement in Pisces or the 12th house that speaks to some sort of lack, some sort of something that makes you feel vulnerable? And I guess consider, like, what would it take for you to become the villain, you know? Yeah, kitten. What would it take for you? Was it chicken? Let's get the first card for the lovers here. And this is giving me, slay the monster. A little bit of a damsel in distress vibe. What's the first card for this? Children of the Voice Divine. And this is typically Archangel Raphael on this card. That's an interesting name, Children of the Voice Divine, because for the voice of the divine, I would think that would be Gabriel. That's Gabriel is the voice of revelation. Well, let's see. First card. Yep. The High Priestess. The Priestess of the Silver Star. Now I can't remember if I said it or not, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. When I was meditating, the images that were coming through were very Egyptian, but also very alien. And it was giving me like the Isu from Assassin's Creed, except rather than the white and gold, like their get-ups, they were black and gold. And even the eyes, rather than the white part, it was black, and then the iris was gold. And so that's where I was getting a lot of this weird, hefty vibe from. Because that's like ancient, super smart humanoid race prior to us humans, modern humans, with the intent of, and the series has been out for a really long time, so I apologize if this is spoilers, but come on. But with the intent of enslaving humanity. And that's like I think what I've heard about Anunnaki, I think is what that's called. That's getting into some of the starseed stuff. And I think that was the same sort of deal, that humans were supposed to be like slaves. Something like that. Maybe I'll have to go watch a History Channel. There's so many videos on YouTube. The starseed and the alien stuff is a little bit far out there for me, but I like it. I like talking about that stuff in Atlantis and whatnot. Like, let's bend the limits. Let's see. The High Priestess with the Lovers. That's intuition about a choice. Could be the choice that was being referenced here with the Two of Swords. And Pisces. So we're kind of carrying over, 12th house. Pisces. Let's get a clarifier on the High Priestess. Six of Swords. Oh, and Princess of Wands. Both in the reverse. Oh, gotta cover her. So we've got Lord of Earned Success for the Six of Swords, and Princess of the Shining Flame for the Princess of Wands. And looks like tiger, a ram, yeah, tiger and a ram. And Six of Swords, it's Aquarius and Mercury. Well, my Mercury is in Aquarius. Communication, and Mercury just went direct today, the day that I'm filming this. Sorry, I don't have the Jeopardy music yet. Just thinking about these. The Six of Swords, that's the Journey card. So this is staying put. And the Princess of Wands, that's somebody who's very creative and very sensual. What I'm getting from this, because the Lover's card, this is the choice card. That and the Two of Swords. But choosing to stay in whatever situation this is for you will stifle your voice, your creativity, and even intimate relationships is what I'm getting. So just your whole essence. And this feels like pulling over some of the energy from the Devil with the gaslighting card, you know, with the Eight of Swords. Someone is trying to get you to make a choice without your intuition, or that goes against your intuition. But want it to feel like it's your choice. That's more of that gaslighty energy. But I'm trying to think of how that would occur. It's just like framing things around the situation in a really specific manner. Oh. Ooh. The thing that just came to mind was a meme I saw a long time ago of like, it was like a vintage old-timey meme. And it was like kids talking to their dad. It was like, "Dad, how'd you meet Mom?" And he was like, "Oh, I texted her at 11:11, you know, however many days, and she thought that I'm her soulmate." That it's given me something like that, like something really skeevy that is just gross, that they're just utilizing your own way of things against you, whether it's something like spirituality or some sort of moral belief, like really earnestly held belief that is taking me back to the TED Talk example. Like, how did they convince her, like, to commit fraud? Because yes, of course, there's the issue of the ill family member, but there was also like little breadcrumbs like leading up to it. Like, it wasn't just outright commit fraud. It was like, oh, what's the harm in doing this one other thing, or nobody's ever gonna know, or something like that, because it's so deeply buried in this process and bureaucracy or something like that. Something really gross. Like, it's just giving me an icky feeling. And it's all giving me the vibe so that they can come out on top. It's like the king wanted a Gorgon's head. We're going back to the Medusa myth. But the king wanted a Gorgon's head in exchange for Perseus's mother's safety. Or freedom as well. And then I think ultimately did not release her. And then that's where Perseus, utilized Medusa's head to overthrow the king. But it's something like that, like getting somebody else to do the dirty work. And Perseus had that moral conviction of wanting to protect his mother. So could someone be getting you lit up on purpose? Right before you make a decision. Yeah, right before you sign something. Something gets presented to you. Another Libra card. We have Venus in Libra. Really heavy Libra theme. So additional placement to look at. Libra or the 7th house. My Lilith is in Libra. I feel like there's more. What, if anything, do we need to do about this? Because this might clue us in more into if this is past energy, present. Oop. 9 of Cups, Lord of material happiness. Something trying to deter you or take you off your path to your wish fulfillment? Why would anybody want to do that? Because they suck? That popped in my head real quick. People do be peoplein', But what? Tell me more about the 9 of Cups. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, the slowest moving knight in the deck. Lord of the wild and fertile land. Virgo North Node, which is the opposite of the current placement right now. The North Node is in Pisces. But this is in reverse. So this just feels like confusion, that like you're on a steady course to your wish fulfillment, but then there's some sort of upheaval or chaos or something. The thing about chaos is that's creative energy. It doesn't always feel good, that's for dang sure. And it's something to create from. Yeah, 7 of Pentacles, the Patience card. Lord of success unfulfilled. So, if you think about the progression from the 7 to the 8, because the 8 is the master, like the master artisan. So the 7, that might give the appearance that something isn't working out. So, well, referencing the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight in the deck. Maybe someone is trying to convince you that because something is taking a long time, abandon course, you know? And depending on what it is, like, does it have a particular timeline? I mean, they say bachelor's degree is a 4-year degree. It took me like 7 years between having to like stop to work and like build up money and then go back and then stop and like change my major a few times. Like, because first I pursued something that I really enjoyed, like something I was passionate about. Then I pursued something I could make money with. So, I don't know. It just depends on your situation of, is this long drawn out path, is it harming you in any way? If it's not, who cares how long it takes? Maybe you're on the scenic route. Maybe that's where the universe put you, is to take the scenic route, to take the long way, to learn stuff. Originality, yeah. Mercury in Aquarius, again. Where was that? Six of Swords. Another Mercury card. Mercury and Gemini. Lovers. Does this have a planetary? It's got that Saturn. This might be... actually don't quite understand that symbol. It looks partly Saturn. So we've got originality and excitement. And I was jibber-jabbering about the long route, you know, the scenic route. And this is that trumpet, like the trumpet of Gabriel. The voice of revelation, you know, of originality. So maybe something is taking a long time to catch on, so on and so forth. Maybe it's novel. Maybe you're really leaning into your authenticity in a world of AI slop. And there's some really cool AI art on there, don't get me wrong. It's disturbing to me how many little horror tales are coming out about how reliant people are already on ChatGPT and AI and things like that. Like, we're still supposed to think. It's supposed to supplement us, not replace our critical thinking skills. I digress. But we'll get one of these. Beyond Lemuria is another starseed theme. These are my two decks, this one and the Hermetic Tarot, to explore Atlantis stuff. That and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Really enjoy that. Let's get one of these. These aren't quite as flippy as the Hermetic Tarot, especially with my tiny little hands. Just gonna cut the deck. Did we get two? Yes. Trust your innocence. And the Portal Keeper. Oh, there's the Egyptian looking. A lot more colorful than what I was seeing in Meditation. And I love the big eyes in this art. So cool. But this is like the... This feels like the hurdle. The last threshold guardian to what it is you're trying to achieve. And the trust your innocence, this is telling me, like, you know what your intentions were through whatever this situation could be. Because if it is some sort of situation where you got roped into signing something or doing something under duress, under pressure, or whatnot, you know where your heart was. There may still yet be, consequences for those things. But if you know what was in your heart, you can walk up to that portal more confidently of owning up to honest mistakes, of even owning up to being taken advantage of. That's really hard to do. Of if somebody, especially who has power over you, or you care about, or so on and so forth, if you do something that isn't the greatest, isn't the most above board, just owning up to that the wool got pulled over your eyes, that's a complicated feeling. Because you not only have to admit to a mistake that you made, but not being able to see through this person, or not being able to admit what you are seeing. Denial's not just a river in Egypt, as they say. But maybe that's what this portal keeper needs from you to get to your original and exciting idea, whatever that next stage is to be honest with yourself about your involvement in something, good or bad. The good people do bad things and bad people do good things saying, which morality is not a binary. It's complicated. Let's get a song. That was pretty heavy. If you are being demonized, I'm sorry you're going through that. And I know it's easier said than done, but if someone isn't even bothering to get your side of the story and they're coming to conclusions, I'm of the thinking that you don't really owe that person your time or explanation or anything. Like, it very well and likely does hurt quite a bit. Oh, that's a good song for what I'm just talking about. But it might hurt quite a bit, and they need to F off, right? So we've got Hope by NF. Really good song. Really cool music video, too. And Kill the Poor, a cover by Trivium. Really interesting kind of dichotomy here in sounds. I would almost even listen to them in that order, for the pick-me-up. The metal band covering a punk band, but NF, his songs are so intense, so deep. What was the other one? I think The Search is the other one that I really like. But some heavy stuff going on, Capricorn. And that might be par for the course with an archetype reading. So a couple of songs to keep you busy. Something to see you through to the other side of this threshold. But overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.